Welcome back to Recap Central. Today I'm going to explain an adventure movie called Love and Monster. Spoilers ahead. Subscribe for more videos like this. Joel Dawson's life was normal until an asteroid named Agatha 616 was headed towards Earth. Humanity managed to destroy it with missiles. But the radioactive material in the rockets fell back to Earth, causing all cold-blooded animals to mutate. Ants, crocodiles, roaches, lizards and many other animals started attacking humans. And in 1 year 95% of the population was wiped out. The ones that survived hid in caves and bunkers, and they have been living in those places for 7 years. Joel also lives in a bunker. There isn't much space and he is tired of hearing his neighbors have sex. Everyone in the bunker are couples except him. Joel's job in the bunker is milking the cow and cooking. Every month some members of the group go hunting and bring whatever they can to the bunker. Joel writes letter to Amy. She was her girlfriend before they lived underground. One day a monster comes inside the building. Some of the group go to kill it. Joel stays behind as he can't fight. The monster kills one of them and Joel grabs a crossbow and goes to help. Joel finds the insect but he freezes in fear. The animal is about to kill him but the others save Joel just in time. We see a flashback of 7 years ago. Joel is with Amy when pieces of rockets start falling and chaos erupts in the city. They rush back home. Everyone is preparing to leave town. Joel hugs Amy for the last time. They haven't seen each other yet as they live in different colonies. Joel likes to draw the monsters on his notepad. That night Joel speaks to Amy on the radio. They speak about the letter Joel sends her every day. But the call cuts off. Joel asks about Amy's colony and it turns out it's only 85 miles away. It takes 7 days to reach it. Joel has had enough of living in the bunker and decides to go see Amy. His group tries to convince him not to go as he can't fight. But he is convinced he will see Amy, so he packs his bag and leaves. Joel looks at the map but he can't even find west, so he decides to go in a random direction. He keeps walking thinking outside isn't as bad as he thought. He finds a frisbee and keeps it. Suddenly he hears a noise and goes to hide like his group told him. Joel enters an abandoned house. He checks the fridge but a monster is inside and he runs outside. He ends up in front of a pond. A tentacle looks at him. Joel freezes like earlier. All of a sudden a huge frog comes out of the pond but Joel can't move. It attacks him with its tongue, making him fall. A dog stands on top of him. Joel tries to run away but the frog catches his leg and drags him back. Luckily the dog saves him and they both run away into a van nearby. It seems like it's the dog's house. Joel learns his name is Boy. They sleep together that night. Joel draws the dog in his notepad. Joel continues his journey the next day but Boy follows him. It has its owner's dress in its mouth. It can't leave it because he misses his owner. Joel puts the dress in his backpack and the two start walking together. They become best friends on the journey. Boy saves Joel from eating poisonous berries. One day as they walk Joel falls into a hole. The walls are covered in holes. A monster called the Sand Gobbler attacks him. Many more are coming but two strangers pull him out just in time. They are Clyde Dutton and his 8-year-old friend Minnow. Minnow throws a grenade into the hole, killing the rest of the monsters. Joel and Boy follow the stranger for safety. Clyde's son and Minnow's father were killed by monsters and they have been together since. They head north where there are less monster. Joel decides to travel with them. Suddenly they freeze as they come across a huge snail. They give the snail Joel's shirt that had sand gobble smell and was attracting monsters to them. Now the monsters will follow the snail. Joel learns some creatures are peaceful like the snail. You can tell by their eyes. Joel learns how to shoot with the crossbow. Finally the day comes when they have to part ways. Minnow insists Joel comes with them but he must find Amy. Clyde gives him a grenade as a parting gift. Joel and Boy continue walking west. Boy feels something is wrong and hides. Joel tries to bring him out but before he can a giant centipede attacks him. He manages to point his crossbow at him but freezes. The monster hits him with his tail and sends him flying. The monster surrounds Boy. Joel remembers the day his parents died. With much determination he shoots the monster and kills him. He saves Boy and they celebrate. At night they stop at a motel where they find a robot called Mavis. The robot only has 50 minutes of battery left. Joel asks if he has an outlet to plug his radio. Joel finally contacts Amy. She is worried about him and tells him her colony is soon moving to a new place. They found a group of survivors who will take them somewhere safe. But before she can tell him where they are going, the power runs out. Joel brings Mavis outside. They talk and Mavis shows him pictures of his family from his database. She plays a song for him when suddenly her battery dies. The next day Joel continues on his way. He finds a queen sand gobbler. Clyde told it's the most dangerous one. It attacks him. Joel and Boy hide behind a tree. But Boy gets scared and starts barking, giving away their position. Boy's owner's dress falls into the river and he runs after it. Mutate the monster finds them. But before it can attack them, Joel uses a grenade and kills it. He falls into the water before the explosion. When he comes out, he is covered in leeches. Joel is angry at Boy for giving away their position. Saddened, Boy runs away. Joel continues alone, but it seems the leeches poisoned him and he starts hallucinating. Just then a group of people find him. Joel sees Amy. She is surprised to see him and they kiss. Suddenly Joel falls unconscious. He wakes up at the bunker. Amy greets him. It turns out he didn't kiss her but an old man. Amy is the leader of her colony and they live near the beach. Joel goes outside and sees the people packing. Another group is at the colony. Their leader Cap promised he will take them to a safer place. Later that day Amy confesses she is happy to see Joel but has no romantic interest in him. She changed and is mourning someone, suggesting she was with someone all this years. Joel is devastated and apologizes for not asking before coming to see her. Amy says it's okay and invites him to join the colony. However, Joel decides to come back to his colony. He speaks with them on the radio. They are happy he is alive. They inform him the bunker is no longer safe and they will leave soon. But the radio cuts off midway. Joel sees the berries Cap gave him and realizes they are poisonous. He understands now Cap is planning to poison the group. He tells Amy but she is too drunk to understand. Suddenly someone hits him and he falls unconscious. The next day Joel wakes up tied up on the beach. The rest are tied as well. It turns out Captain's group are pirates that raid colonies for food. He summons a giant crab that is connected to an electric collar. They use the crab to tow their boat. As the crab attacks, Amy frees Joel. She goes to fight the pirates and leaves Joel to fight the crab. She fights with a member of the crew. Joel manages to flip the crab over. But Cap electrocutes it and it hits Joel, knocking him out. The crab walks towards Joel as he retreats. Luckily Boy comes to help him. As Dana aims to shoot Boy, Amy hits her, making her shoot the crab instead. Cap's crew goes back to the boat. The crab is about to kill Joel, when he looks at him and notices he is a good animal. It went mad from Cap's abuse. Joel shoots the chain that electrocutes it. The crab calms down and leaves. It then goes to the ship and kills Cap's crew. Later that day Joel prepares to leave. He gives his book with monsters to Amy and they kiss. Joel finds his group and they decide to go to a safer place in the mountains. Joel uses the radio to inspire other colonies to go to the surface. And many colonies go to live in the mountains. Clyde and Minnow are already there while Joel continues on his way.